This week on Toys of the Jedi, ToysRUs goes into liquidation, but for the US there is a new hope. Jabba's barge sails into Europe thanks to Darkside Toys. And a look at what could have been as an unproduced Probe Droid set surfaces. Sadly, the UK arm of ToysRUs is set to close its doors as the administrator Moorfields was unable to find a buyer. It is a sad time for toy collectors and children alike, who will no longer be able to visit a store specifically dedicated to toys. I always loved those visits to Toys R Us as a kid, seeing all of the potential new toys that would be going on that birthday or Christmas wish list, or being able to spend that hard-earned pocket money on a brand new toy. As an adult, the Midnight Madness events that they put on helped forge friendships that remain strong to this day, and it begs the question, who else could handle such events? It doesn't look good for the retailer's US parent arm either, as they try to fend off liquidation. However, there may be a sliver of hope for an old retailer to rise from the ashes. In the last few days, it's emerged that KB Toys are aiming to make a return later this year in time for Christmas. They say that they have carefully studied what caused KB's initial demise and aim to learn from those mistakes. There has been some speculation online about how Jabba's sail barge is performing, with some sites even tracking the daily sales and comparing it to Kickstarter projects of a similar variety. There was a slump in sales which is not unexpected, and around that time Hasbro announced that it was opening up the initiative to Canada. Then, a few weeks later, online UK retailer Darkside Toys confirmed that they had been working hard behind the scenes to get Jabba's sail barge into the UK and indeed beyond. The full list is listed in the description down below, but it does include as a basics the United Kingdom, Germany and France. We also know the size of this thing, as Hasbro released a picture of the barge designer Mark Boudreau holding a white box mock-up confirming it would be approximately 14 inches in diameter, 50 in width and 15 in height. So start clearing the space on your shelves now. New packaged shots of the Black Series, the Vintage Collection and the new solo wave of figures were indeed made available online this week. It appears that Star Wars collector site swblackseries.de seemed to have the initial release of these figures. We now get to see what the beautiful Hoth Rebel Trooper, Jyn in her Rebel outfit, Rey, Kylo Ren and Supreme Leader Snoke will look like on that beautiful vintage packaging. A few weeks ago, Instagram user GoCore Racing did indeed release some shots of an unreleased Probe Droid set. This set was due to come with a shell that formed around the Probe Droid itself that would explode upon impact. It also came with an Echo Base control center, chair and a couple of Echo Base technicians, along with also a Death Star Gunner style Imperial character. These were all meant to have super articulation, and while one of the Echo Base troopers was indeed a re-release, the other one had a completely new head sculpt. It's a shame these didn't make it into production. We did get the Probe Droid in the recently released Darth Vader and Probe Droid set, but it's unknown what will happen to the rest of these prototypes. For more information on these, head on over to Facebook, Star Wars Modern Prototypes. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Those of you out for the solo product launch, keep your eyes out for Wave 2 of the Black Series 6-inch figures. There have been reports of Wave 16 already showing up in advance of the street date, and Wave 17 may not be that far behind. With the apparent confirmation by Amazon.com that Han Solo will be coming in the 6-inch Black Series line, there was also some loud hinting on Jedi Temple Archives that General Veers and a Bespin Princess Leia may also be on the way. Keep your eyes to the ground, but for the moment take this with a pinch of salt. It is just a rumour. I headed over to MCM Comic-Con in Birmingham this weekend and met up with a few other Star Wars fans. I went with my son, brother and a couple of friends, and we all enjoyed it. There wasn't a huge amount of Star Wars there. Much of the stuff that was there was on an exhibition basis. I did go to ID Toys booth and found a couple of the 6-inch Porgs there on offer, along with most of the other figures from the latest waves. Worthy of note was that they also had the 40th anniversary collection of the Black Series figures on the vintage styled card back. These all looked lovely, as you can see. They also had the Kylo Ren on the Throne Room jewel from the 6-inch Black Series, which I understand is quite elusive over in the US. They also had the Disney Build-A-Droid carded figures, which have not, of course, made it over to the UK. Shortly after this, I bumped into a couple of interesting characters. Hi, I'm here with Mark and Paul from Fanta Tracks, just to get a bit of a catch-up with how things are going at MCM Comic Con Birmingham 2018. So, guys, how are you finding the show so far?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah, we've seen some pretty unique stuff. There's some nice miniatures that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
Had a chat with John from John Simmons, and yeah, that was really interesting. Gave us a good insight into where he gets his ideas from. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and the show's changed up since MCM and Reed have started merging together. I think this is the second show.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scaled up, different stuff, lots more people, so much cosplay. It's insane. I don't know what half the cosplay is.
No, I know exactly what you mean. A lot of it goes straight over my head.
The Star Wars parade was cool. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I did miss that, unfortunately. We were slightly preoccupied, but
that was excellent.
no, some good stuff. I take it you guys will have some of that stuff on your website?
We will, yes.
Yeah,
We've got some video and some stills from that, so that'll be pretty cool. Yeah.
So we're back here tomorrow. So this is Saturday, so we're back here tomorrow. And there's different Fanta Trackers here tomorrow.
I won't be here tomorrow, no.
So yeah, we get rid of him. So then we've got a few other guys coming. So a few interviews we'll try and get done. We're not far off from launching our podcasts as well, so we get a bit of audio for the podcast. So yeah, so it's all coming together.
Ticking together.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, we've only been going since the end of October, so it's been a really promising start, and it's only going to go higher from here. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Are you here looking for any particular collectibles at all? Anything specifically?
Oh, I got myself a Lando Black series, but that's neither here nor there.
Don't tell the missus. I found issue 1 of Silver Surfer, which I had in my hands about 30 years ago and let go, so I was pleased to get my hands on that again. And I'll collect the Mattel cars, all the car ships and vehicles and such, so I've got a few of those. So nothing crazy, but you know, yeah. So I like the vintage stuff, so if it's a bit unique, it jumps out at me. And it doesn't have to be Star Wars necessarily, because I'm a Trek fan, a comics fan and that, but generally it's Star Wars. So
That's the main bit, that's the important stuff. Anyway, thank you very much, gents, for your time today.
Thanks, Chris.
Pleasure.
Have a lovely time, and thank you for joining us at MCM Comic Con. A big thank you to the Fanta guys for taking the time to speak to me. Make sure you go and check out all of their coverage of MCM Comic Con over on fantatracks.co.uk. Now, after speaking to the guys, I thought I'd go and check out these models that they'd mentioned to see what they were all about. And John Simmons models are absolutely fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see these in person, I highly recommend that you make sure you get over there and see them. Now, John Simmons, it wasn't just him that do the models, but a group of them, and their work is actually on Facebook, and I will post a link to that in the description down below. I've got to be honest, the level of detail that they've got into these individual miniatures is astounding. It is at the hyper detailed level. These are what are known as studio scale models, which means they're the same size as what was actually used when they were filming The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and they are all absolutely stunning. My pictures do not even come close to doing them justice, and the video helps a little bit to give you some of the scale of what's going on, but these just took my breath away. After that, I headed over to see the R2 builders, and of course everybody's favourite R2-D2 was on show. There was also a couple of droids that were in the midst of being made, so it actually gave you a bit of sense as to how this all happened. There was a nice Salacious Crumb there, and of course at the back, Chopper in his Imperial disguise outfit. Following this, I headed over to see some of the costume characters, and there was a fantastic General Grievous costume. You can only imagine that hours of work have gone into actually putting this one into practice. It was fantastic, and to see it walking around, even more so. Unfortunately, as you saw earlier, I didn't manage to pick up anything from MCM Comic Con, which means there were no new acquisitions this week. It does mean it's been a pretty quiet one. I am still on the lookout for a right hand for my Pons Limbic, so again, if you've got one of those, please get in touch. We'll see if we can do some sort of a swap. The only thing I have picked up recently is Wedge Antilles' helmet from the Di Agostini Helmets collection. It's a lovely helmet, some lovely photos I'll put online here, and there'll also be some over on our Instagram feed. Speaking of that, if you did like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, both at Toys of the Jedi, and also search for us on Facebook under Toys of the Jedi. Until next time.